Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, how you folks doing? Welcome to the Con and Bob podcast. I'm Con. That's Bob.
I'm Bob.
Oh, yeah, you can say it too. I mean, I guess you're your own man, right? You can say whatever you want. Yeah. We're going to cover wrestling because Con Man knows how to do great intros every single week. There's nothing better than my intros. Nothing better.
Never butchers them, never sounds awkward. It's just always great.
It's just always great. It's what it is.
Speaking
of what it is, wrestling this week.
What it is.
It's what it was, right? It was okay. It was decent. Had some good moments. Had some cool shows like Fyter Fest. We're gonna break it all down for you guys. So welcome to the podcast, Bob. What'd you think of this week?
I thought, just adjusting this camera a little bit. I thought it was good. I thought the WWE's definitely, it had some big moments, obviously. The obvious Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley moment.
The middle finger from Kofi Kingston, the Joey Janela John Moxley match, the Cody Rhodes getting smacked over the head, the heel turn for the former Ty Dillinger.
Was fun.
Yeah.
I thought like AJ turning heel.
Yeah, that's another big moment that happened. Yep.
Like there were a lot of big moments from WWE's side. Obviously, Taker being on Raw,
and Maria's pregnant.
Yeah, that's okay. That's one of my issues though. With it. I just don't know what they're doing.
Okay, let's start with that, okay? Because that was out of the blue. That was probably, we had all these great moments to talk about from the week, whether you're talking about the Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, whether you're talking about the Kofi Kingston, the AJ Styles, whatever. But the moment that let's start off with is Maria Kanellis and Mike Kanellis. It was out of the blue, right? It was just random that all of a sudden they were getting put in this mixed tag match. Now, when I saw that happen, right, I thought, that makes sense that they would do a mixed tag to try to build up to the Extreme Rules match, right? And I thought that it was just going to be a toss away for Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis to get some TV time. But Lord behold, that segment took a giant turn. When Maria got tagged in, all of a sudden she's running away and saying that she's pregnant, which in fact she is in real life pregnant. It's not a storyline.
Yeah, because I had seen, I follow Mike on Instagram, and I had seen prior to watching it a picture from the match, and I was like, oh, they were on Raw, and he's like, and she's outside, and it's and it was like the caption said, when you find out you're having another baby or something like that. So I was like, oh, nice. So I initially thought, oh, nice, Mike's on Raw, Maria's just ringside. And something happens that she reveals that she's pregnant.
It did not go that way, that's for sure. Holy crap.
When I saw that it was a mixed tag match, I was like, she better not be wrestling.
Unless you're like Paige's mother who wrestled with Paige in the womb for 3 months. You should not be taking bumps.
That's a wild thing. I'm like, how are you going to take bumps? And then I was like, okay, maybe they're going to not let her get tagged in as I'm watching. And I'm like, maybe she gets tagged in and then kind of tags right back out or avoids it in some capacity, which is what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely surprising, especially because we haven't seen Maria and Mike on Raw or SmackDown in a very long time. But I liked it. I thought
it was different. I'm
going
to hold my reserves.
That they were on. Sorry. Yeah. I liked that they were on Raw. I was like, oh, nice. Get to see them. I didn't like the turn that it took.
Because it went down a road of him, Mike being a cuckold, that kind of is the story. It kind of felt like that's the direction they're going. And
it just kind of made him seem so even her calling him her bitch.
Yeah, it was I thought that was going to be the one off, okay, that was just kind of a play, but it's very obvious that they're going to present Maria as kind of a role reversal, the jerk boyfriend we normally see on TV, right? And the innocent babyface bystander who happens to be the girlfriend. Now the roles are reversed. Maria's being a giant bitch to Mike for absolutely no reason. And I mean, it's very interesting, but I'm going to hold my reserves on it because I'm not sure where this is going to go. It's either going to be a giant burial of Mike Kanellis, or it's going to be a giant push for Mike Kanellis. Like, I've seen his Twitter handle change back to Mike Bennett. I wonder if they're going to do something. Yeah,
that's the thing that I started thinking immediately was maybe they're leading to them getting a divorce on screen, like on camera-esque thing, and it would be fine because Maria's going to be off with a new baby.
And I wonder if they partner somebody new with Mike and then build towards something when she comes back.
That way he can go back to Mike Bennett because that was the name, the person that he was so successful in. He was in Impact, he was in the Indies as Mike Bennett. But then because the WWE universe knows Maria Kanellis but doesn't know Mike Bennett, when they brought them back, they paired them as Maria and Mike Kanellis. To keep the name more familiar. I get why they did that initially, but and even the way that they're just kind of hinting at it even more and more leads me to believe it more because again, you don't normally hear the commentary that well, but as they were coming out to the ring, I think it was Corey Graves or one of them said like Mike took Maria's last name when they got married.
Yes. I think they addressed that right at the start as well. They said that right at the very start when they debuted, is that Mike was always kind of positioned as being so overly in love with Maria, right? And that's always kind of been the gimmick on the indies and everything. He's so over the moon with her, and she's just kind of this redhead firecracker bitch, It's kind of a cool dynamic, obviously, with them just signing the 5-year deals to WWE. By the way, that's the second time Maria's done that to WWE. Signed a deal and then revealed she's pregnant. Take care of the family. Good job, Maria.
Right after. Secure the bag.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. I do hope to see that he moves his name to Mike Bennett, and then maybe I hope so. That could be an interesting storyline. He looked like a little bit of a babyface there, didn't he? The way he was getting the reactions from the crowd.
He was just taking the heat from her, right? She was taking the heat, I guess, from the crowd, in turn making the crowd feel bad for him. And I thought, I really hope though, initially that was my immediate thought was, I wonder if this is leading to a split up angle, a divorce angle, whatever, that then lets him become Mike Bennett again. And then, like you said, maybe pair him with a tag team. Then they can always have that kind of comeback feud where
easily
he's got a new girlfriend, whatever type thing. Or a new manager, even just a woman, a valet manager type person that
well, hell, why not come back? Why not make this an opportunity for somebody down in NXT to be called up from the women's division to be partnered with Mike Bennett? Moving forward, a new romance angle or whatever. You could keep that. This is the greatest theme song that they've got. They could keep that, and it would make it even more heartbreaking for Mike Bennett every time you see him. I think it could really work, but they got to be careful with the direction they move into, not just make this an entire burial of Mike Bennett, because once you fall down the card too far, it's tough to push back up. And if they're not careful, he could be buried really easily, because not only did he get called a bitch by Mike or by Maria, he lost the match in no time, and then got ripped apart in the ring by Maria afterwards, and saying that he's not even man enough to impregnate her. Should have said in the line saying she should have got Becky to impregnate her. That was a very weird line. I felt so uncomfortable there.
Even the aspect that first she's ripping on him as the match is going on, because she then reveals that she's pregnant. She's ripping on him about he's like, how? And then she's like, I don't know how, you're not man enough to, blah, 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 blah. And then that's during the match, and then to immediately lose to Becky, to make Becky look even more strong and potentially hint at maybe some cross-gender, intergender wrestling in this mixed tag match between Baron, Lacey, Becky, and Seth. Potentially.
Well, let me just ask you something there. Would that be the right way to introduce intergender matches in a mixed tag scenario where maybe you don't have the tag have to happen, you know? Like, you know when you tag in the women, both women have to go into the ring. When you tag in the man, both men have to go in the ring. Maybe if you eliminate that rule, you can get a little bit of bumps going on. And I'm not sure if you also noticed this, Baron Corbin pulling down the legs of Natalya. We've started to see more interaction between the male superstars and female superstars in their matches, you know, from outside interference. Not like punches to the face, but just little trip-ups, little things of contact that are like, okay, maybe they're starting to go towards this intergender wrestling.
Well, it would be, if you're going to have one heel in the WWE do it,
it's going to be Corbin.
Why not throw it on Corbin?
Yeah,
because
seriously.
He already is so hated.
Imagine Corbin.
Imagine he hits the end of days on her.
Yeah,
or
like the deep six. I would rather see the deep six be delivered.
The deep six would look so aggressive on female of Becky's stature.
It really would. And that's
so much.
That's the thing.
Corbin,
that
right?
would be the thing that Seth needs. If Corbin laid his hands on Becky Lynch in this match, Seth will snap. And like that elevates Seth to a new level. You get to see that little bit of aggression that he has, because we haven't seen it since like the steel chair shots when, you know, right before Stomping Grounds. So that entire lead up, right? He's lost all that momentum.
I hope that we see a stomp into a chair.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
I don't know if the chair would be set up or like lying down, but one of them, either way, into the chair to win it would be awesome. That would just be, especially if it's like Baron hits Becky with a deep six before it.
Oh my God.
And then Seth just goes ballistic and starts like beating the piss out of him with a chair.
Man, that'd be so good.
Nice. I don't know. I feel like I'm hyping up this match more in my head than what it's actually going to be. But if it pans out how it could be a very interesting and fun match.
I think it's going to be fun regardless, because it is two of the most exciting and over superstars in Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. And we both know what happens when they step inside the ring. There is magic, right? All the time.
Yep.
So I think it's probably going to be a fun match. I don't think it's going to be anything to write home about, but it's going to be the perfect end to the story of Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin, because I feel like this is the final match. This is the only way they could do this one more time and still make sense storyline wise. But after this, we're going to see a new challenger for Seth Rollins' title. We're going to see a new challenger for Becky Lynch's, and it should end with the champions retaining, right? Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so let's talk about probably the most explosive moment, literally, from Monday Night Raw, the start of the show, and this had Paul Heyman's fingerprints all over it. The new head of creative on Monday Night Raw. I'm not sure if you heard that.
I did see that, him and
Bischoff on SmackDown. Yeah, so this had his fingerprints all over it, as did the whole Maria thing, because we know Paul Heyman and Maria are close as hell. That made total sense why she was on the card. But yeah, this had Paul Heyman's fingerprint all over it. It was the reintroduction of Pyro. First of all, like that is not been seen since Super Showdown. But other than that, on Raw, when was the last time we saw Pyro? It's been forever.
Yeah, it's been a while, and it was, I don't know, this was an exciting match, just because literally, like, I'm watching it, and all I'm thinking is, like, this is what we've wanted. This is all people want to see from Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. We don't want to see the arm wrestling matches. We don't want to see the tug of war. We don't want to see these stupid little things that end in brawls. We just want to see them brawl.
Yep.
And the living piss out of each other, and if it ends in a no contest, even better, because then we go, oh, I want to see this match finish, and I want to see it in a aggressive manner, like
exactly,
in some sort of last man standing, or
like this totally should be leading to a last man standing match. Like there is no question in my mind. At Extreme Rules, it should be Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman in a last man standing match. There is no other way to do this. Both men got stretchered off, couldn't answer a count of 10, obviously. That makes total sense.
I love Bobby's portrayal after as well, like where he is such a heel that he's playing that kind of like victim heel card, where he's like, oh, Braun was intending to injure me, like trying, or worse, like blah 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 blah, like type that, where you're like, oh, you're such a dickhead.
I also love this little addition to the story, is that Braun Strowman got the worst of it. You know, we all of a sudden go into whatever this match that they're going to have at Extreme Rules, whatever stipulation it may be. All of a sudden, that gives Bobby Lashley the advantage, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lashley picks up the win to finish off this feud, because, like, I think that momentary thing, because Strowman's going to come out all taped up, right? Because if he's got a ruptured spleen and some broken ribs or fractured ribs, as the commentators were saying, then that's kind of the advantage to Bobby Lashley, who cut a promo on SmackDown Live. Even if it was just a recorded one, it's still advantage Bobby Lashley. I kind of like that little bit of storytelling there. But one more thing from this segment. Holy shit.
Yes.
What? Corey. So I've got some insider information here for you, which I think is really, really neat to pull back the curtain of WWE. That was 150% planned. The swearing on TV was 100. So. No, it was Corey Graves.
Well, no, like I had heard wrestling fan that I work with had mentioned it to me, and I hadn't seen it yet. And I went, oh, I had seen the spot, but I didn't hear the commentary of it. I'm gonna watch it. I'll see what it is. And then when I watched it, I heard it and went, yeah, I think they were pushing the boundary a little bit just to open it.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to push that curtain to open it, and now all of a sudden, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, like we started to see it throughout the entire show, the use of bitch, the use of some more aggressive terms towards each other. It seemed to step up, and then to add an exclamation point, a literal exclamation point, was Kofi Kingston flipping off Samoa Joe on SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
Like, these are moments that are starting to edge towards not necessarily the Attitude Era, but more of a TV 14 type of show. I'm not sure if WWE is ever going to make the full switch, but it seems like they're operating under that PG-13 umbrella right now. And I really quite like it. It's going to add a sense of realism to the show because, let's face it, when you're a big man in there, buff as hell, and you're going into war of words against somebody else, you're not going to sit there and call them,
suffering
succotash, right? Like, you need to have a little bit of more oomph on your words, right? And yeah, the word bitch, the word shit, whatever, yeah, it's going to get a pop right now. But what it's going to open up is it's going to open up more aggressive storylines moving forward. Because when you introduce that type of language, yes, it creates a pop for the crowd, but it also makes the matches feel that much more heated between the two superstars.
Yes, 100%. And I think it just feels like, I don't know, more aggressive. It just feels a little bit more extreme, especially with the aspect of a Paul Heyman, obviously CW influence now at the head of creative on Raw, and Bischoff. Just that kind of a little bit more aggressive Attitude Era-esque thing to be in the show, not like overtake the show, but just have its influences is very nice. And I think it there's a fine balance, and I think that's something that AEW did on Saturday at Fyter Fest very well that I will talk about later. The Mox and Janela match that I thought was very interesting, but we'll finish up WWE and then I'll chat on that.
We're not going to go through everything that happened on Raw here today because it wasn't all good. And one thing that I really didn't like, and this is going to be an issue moving forward because we haven't had the chance to talk about this. Vince McMahon has apparently said that he doesn't want wrestling in between commercial breaks anymore. And that's the reason that we have seen the rise of the 2 out of 3 fall matches. That's the reason we've seen all these matches get restarted. And I'm a fan of the idea to not have wrestling during the commercial breaks when it works. You know, I don't like it feeling forced. I don't like matches ending early or ending in a weird way just to set up the next match after a commercial break or set up the next fall, right?
I also don't like the aspect of having too many we've had at least 2 out of 3 falls match. I think every single week for the last month.
We have, and we'll absolutely get to that because I have a giant gripe with that. Like I'm so upset on the 2 out of 3 falls matches. It's too much. You're ruining one of the classic matches.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the first Con and Bob podcast from when they started doing these 2 out of 3 falls matches, I remember you and I said like, "Oh, that was really neat. Like that was interesting. That was different. That we get to see it on Raw. That's fun. That's exciting." And then all of a sudden, like they also did it on SmackDown, which we were like, "Okay, that's whatever, fine." And then the next week they did 1 or 2, and then we're like, they're doing these a lot.
And then they had two on SmackDown. They had two on SmackDown. And then not only that, we got the repeated 2 out of 3 falls match from SmackDown on Raw. Like, you're telling me Raw and SmackDown are the exact same shows right now. You have no brand identity. I could not tell you who is fighting for what championship and who belongs on what brand, because Samoa Joe's a Raw superstar challenging for the SmackDown Live championship. Like,
which is fun. That's fine. I'm fine with these cross-brand
to a point,
things,
but here's the thing, man. Like, I do really believe that if you're like, I'm really enjoying the feud. Don't get me wrong, between Kofi and Samoa Joe, right? I'm just pointing out the logistics of this whole wild card scenario. If you are a Raw superstar, I understand the ability to show up on SmackDown, or if you're a SmackDown superstar, I understand the ability to show up on Raw. You should not be challenging for the other brand's title, no matter what. Whether you're tag team, whether you're a mid-card, whether you're whatever. Because unless you're going to be actually switching brands and being on there full time, it creates this weird cross-brand storyline that overexposes the story. We're seeing it We're seeing it happen on both Raw and on SmackDown. You're not letting the story have a day or two to breathe. People are forgetting what happened on Raw the time SmackDown rolls around. And then
that's fair. I can see that. I can see that being the issue. I don't think it's if they were to do it in the aspect of like from now till SummerSlam, that's too long. That's too much time. But from now till Extreme Rules is fine. I'm fine with that. I think though too they do need to let that breathe. Like not have it Raw and SmackDown each week. Have it Raw.
Pick one or the other.
And then maybe Raw and SmackDown the next week. Then only SmackDown the week after that. Something along those lines, right? Like, but when you're having it twice a week for 4 weeks, it's a bit much. I get that. I can feel that. I think that this one's been very good. Like, I think Samoa Joe, Kofi have been. They've been excellent. Joe's just so good. Joe's just so aggressive.
That's the thing, and I mean, this is when we talk about character work, Joe crushes it out of the park every single time. He brings that aggressive side that is always lacking in these main event level feuds in WWE. That's why his feuds are so memorable when they allow him to just go out there and be the badass Samoan submission machine, right? Choking out Xavier Woods in the middle of his match to set up this 3-on-3 match between the Viking Raiders, Samoa Joe, and the New Day. I thought that was a good way to set it up. Again, though, to get back to my point of this whole wrestling before the commercial break and then not wrestling during it and doing any way to set up the match after the commercial break, it's fine in short bursts. It's fine if it happens here and there, but every match having some weird finish before the commercial break to be restarted, or a 2 out of 3 falls match, you know what I mean? It's just, I understand not wanting to put wrestling over the commercial break because you want your fans to watch it live. You want to see it all unfold on TV. And I'm fine for that. But you also can't force it, right? If you have a really good match going on right now, pinning somebody at the start of a 2 out of 3 falls match just to get to commercial break, it hurts the superstar. And when I'm speaking about this, I think back to the 2 out of 3 falls match between Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler pinned Kofi for the first time in his WWE Championship reign in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And that was a mistake because all they did is they wanted to go to commercial break and not have the wrestling over the commercial break. But here Kofi is losing on TV and he hasn't been pinned since he became champion, right? And it was just thrown away. It was a moment that we lost. We saw vulnerability in Kofi for the first time and it was just a throwaway to get to commercial break. It's little details like that that are going to be an issue with this no wrestling over commercial break.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about the Street Profits, because that was fun.
Yeah, Street Profits. I like that they just exposed them a little bit. They didn't really do anything other than those little cutaway backstage segments but they were a lot of fun, and they're the Street Profits. Like
they did exactly what they needed to do. It was an introduction to the Street Profits, to your NXT Tag Team Champions. I don't know if they're just going to head back down to NXT or if they plan on keeping Street Profits up on the main roster for a little bit. I mean, the tag team division could really use them, for sure.
Yeah.
No team on Raw or SmackDown has the kind of energy that Street Profits bring either, which I think is quite nice.
Maybe New Day.
Maybe New Day, yeah. By the way, that'll be a fun match whenever that happens.
Yes. That'd be so much fun.
There is one thing that I'm going to say. Montez Ford has to be a tiny bit more dialed back with a few of his things, his backstage promos. It'll get better with time for sure, but it felt like Angelo Dawkins had his timing down with everything, and Montez Ford seemed to have these weird pauses when he was just getting into the zone for what he was going to say or whatever. It just didn't flow. It felt like it should have been a natural flow back and forth, kind of like the New Day have, right? And it just felt like they were reading their lines, having a pause, and then saying the lines again. They delivered the lines fine.
Though, because Angelo Dawkins really shined, I thought.
He did.
Like, I thought obviously Montez Ford looked great, like dope as hell. Like, they both did.
Get that smoke.
Angelo Dawkins though, like from the mic standpoint on like performance aspect, I thought he just was on. And I remember like a long while ago, before I had even really known who Street Profits were, I had just seen like a few matches. I remember you telling me like, oh yeah, they're both really good. That Montez Ford though is going to be then a huge, like another level type thing. And then like to see just how different it can be when they come up, because that like it does get nerves, right?
Oh,
and
big time.
Can get nerves.
Well, NXT's recorded, right?
To see how one guy who's the usually lesser of the two from the performance aspect, stuff like that, is a bit more comfortable in the live aspect. It's just interesting from a broadcasting standpoint to see. Like, I just thought, oh, that's neat. That's really cool to see how they handle it differently. That he, who's from the recorded standpoint, usually shines a little bit better, right?
Yep.
But he, who is the lesser shine, I guess, comes out no problem, like so calm, so clean. Yeah, and I was like, that's an interesting little.
And I think that's a really good thing to see, because, like as I was saying to you before, Montez Ford is going to be a star, right? He's got way too much charisma bottled up. He's got the high flying move set. Like, he is
the look.
Yeah, he's got the look. Like, he's just got everything, right? And Angelo Dawkins has always been that little bit of a question mark. Yeah, he's a solid hand in the ring, and yeah, he's a solid hand on the promo. But tonight, like you're saying, he did all the little things right. He seemed to have his timing down with the live cameras. He worked well off the interviewer, and he worked well off Paul Heyman. You know, it worked tonight for Angelo Dawkins. Like I said, Montez Ford was missing his timing a little bit here and there, but also still his charisma exuded out onto the screen, right?
Yeah. Even just like him not talking, honestly, like your eyes just are drawn to him. You're like, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? Like,
yeah. So I wonder if they plan on taking the titles off them down in NXT very shortly, like, Forgotten Sons winning the titles off them and boosting them right up to the main roster, because, the tag team division could use them. They're going to be a fun team to watch, and we'll just see what happens moving forward. Yeah. I quickly want to talk about Cesaro here beating up No Way Jose. I love this. Cesaro's new gimmick of just basically destroying anybody who doesn't take wrestling seriously. It's great. Yeah. Yep.
I also love, like, while we're on the topic of that, the whole Drake Maverick thing.
Perfect,
the entire
isn't it?
night was just incredible. His wife,
also,
oh, honey, we're going on our honeymoon. Like, we're just... Like, we're getting there type thing. It's so good.
His wife there was in the Mae Young Classic, if you believe it or not. So I wonder if his wife is being signed to something as well with WWE, and maybe we're starting to get another character introduced to the women's division.
So that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, I was like, why is she on screen, and why is she this good of an actress?
Yes.
I was like, why is she so committed? She really loves her husband. But yeah, like I hope so. I don't know. I like her look, gorgeous, awesome. I loved the whole segment, the interactions, the R-Truth being in the conga line and dancing with Drake Maverick's wife for a minute. Like,
sorry, Renee Michelle is her name.
Okay.
Yeah, Renee Michelle.
Yeah, I liked all of it. I thought, and the whole night, like Drake ending up winning the title when his wife's just, he's like, finally, like, no, don't worry about it. We're just going to go on our honeymoon. And then she goes to freshen up before they leave, and he sees
suit.
He's like,
and,
well.
I mean, the suitcase to the back of the head. What a weapon! What a way to win! Like, I love how they're just not taking it seriously. It's great.
I love the little thing of Drake after he gets it. He goes, "Honey, we're gonna go celebrate our honeymoon now. Like, we're gonna do it great." And he's like, "Go run!" And then in the background, I don't know if you heard him, but in the background, just like as he's running off, he just goes, "Leave the suitcase." He just like forgets about it. He's like, "I don't care about it. I got this now. I'm good."
And man, like I haven't gotten to watch any of their honeymoon videos yet, but they've posted, I believe, 2 as of this moment on Wednesday. It's like 2 social media videos of them on their honeymoon, and Drake Maverick has like the 24/7 championship with them. So I bet you that's pretty funny.
That's funny. I wonder if something's gonna happen with that too.
I hope R-Truth pins him like on the beach or something. Or maybe R-Truth is swimming underwater and there's a referee like swimming as well. Like something ridiculous like that. And Drake Maverick goes to dive in. Absurd. Drake Maverick dives in, and then under the water, R-Truth like hits him with like his finishing move or something, just out of nowhere. Or you know what'd be even funnier? Oh my god. Just for laughs, okay? This is just con man thinking out loud here. But why not have Drake Maverick go to dive headfirst into the pool, and Randy Orton just comes out of nowhere, RKO into the pool. He becomes the 24/7 champion. Why not?
Maybe because Randy, I don't even know where Randy is right now.
Can you imagine Orton with the 24/7 championship though? He would have a bowl. He would have a ball with it. You kidding me?
He would have fun though. He would from the man Randy Orton would have fun with it. I think the character Randy Orton wouldn't.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. But just thinking out loud, the 24/7 championship, I would like to see some more serious superstars see like say R-Truth walking around backstage if he gets his championship back, right? And just like looking at Truth and saying, why don't I just take advantage of this, right? And they could lose it later on the night back to R-Truth in some way or form or whatever, but seeing somebody who is like up the card, just maybe Braun Strowman just sees like Drake Maverick there walking around backstage, and he just looks down at Drake, just a clubbing blow, 1, 2, 3. He's the 24/7 champ.
Well, they've done it a couple people with like Elias winning it. There was someone else who won it, I think, that was a little bit more serious, but again, they lost it really quickly.
Yeah. I forget. But you know what? I'm enjoying it, to be 100% honest.
Honestly, I think it was one of the highlights of the week for me. The whole overriding storyline of like Drake and the title and the the Maverick 24/7.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
And I loved R-Truth calling it the 7-Eleven European TV Championship. He calls it something different every week. I want my baby back. I want my baby back, baby back ribs.
It was good though. I really liked that through the whole thing, and yeah, the Cesaro bit was good. I don't know, just the fun.
It was just fun, right? And I mean, that's what
I love about this 24/7 championship is like, it is just fun, man. Like, it's nothing serious, like you said. Like we were just talking about, we're not gonna see in Roman Reigns win it, but it's it gives more people more opportunity to be on TV, even if it's just in a stupid chasing.
And it unlocks some creative freedom for those superstars, right?
Yeah.
Like, you get to get your character over. You get to showcase your character, which WWE does not have that ability to just showcase new characters on the main roster, right? At least they didn't. They do now. So that's really good. I'm very happy about the 24/7 championship. Even if the title is butt fuck ugly, it's still awesome. I really enjoy the concept right now.
I almost like how bad it looks though. There's something fun about it. It's just so absurd.
It really is. It's just like a record with a big 24/7 on it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin, that segment. We saw the backstage promo between them, and I got a bit of a relationship vibe tease from them. Did you?
Not necessarily.
Really? Okay.
No, I definitely thought they were teasing at the aspect of like potentially Seth and Becky's relationship not being strong type thing. But yeah, I didn't get necessarily a flirtatious vibe from it.
For me, the one spot that stood out was when Lacey Evans was cutting her promo and Corbin just stared at her the entire time. His eyes didn't come off her, right? He was looking right at her. Now, that very well could be just, close quarters. This is where I'm looking, right? Otherwise, I'm going to be looking dead into the camera.
Yeah.
But I just got that little bit of something wondering, is that going to be their next step after this? Because you got to think Corbin and Lacey, they're done in the title picture after this, right? They're not going to win the titles. At least they shouldn't. So I wonder what they've got planned for them moving forward. Is it going to be... Are they going to be the start of more mixed matches happening on Raw or something? I don't know. But I would like to see maybe them dive into something like that. Maybe where...
I wouldn't mind seeing them, stick together in some capacity. Mm-hmm. Whether it's just, you help me, I help you, business-type relationship-esque thing, or whether it's a relationship-y type thing. But yeah, they're easily the two biggest heels in their respective divisions on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And Corbin's probably the biggest heel in WWE.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. That's safe to say. So it wouldn't...
It's it would be interesting to see them partner up and just see the interactions. And I think they both have good character work.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Promo work, that it will be a ton of fun to see them interact.
Yep, exactly. One little thing, though, that I had with this match, so Evans defeated Natalya, and when you're trying to build up Lacey Evans to be a credible threat to a challenger, or to a champion that she has already lost to on multiple times, I think I understand Corbin tripping up Natalya, right? And I understand that saving Natalya in a sense, but you needed a clean win for Lacey, I think, to build her up as an actual credible threat to the champion, because she's lost multiple times to Becky already. How do you go into that match and not try to present her as the most credible threat possible? Yeah, obviously it was a cheap way to get out of the match, and it keeps heat on Lacey and Corbin, and I understand that was the purpose of it, right? But just from a viewing aspect, I would feel like Lacey has more of a chance to win if she beat Natalya clean. That's just my little thing.
I think it's more... I don't even think necessarily that it was a heat-based thing. I think that it's more so the aspect that they're going into a mixed match at Extreme Rules, and that being said, it's showing Corbin has no issue cheating to win, essentially. True. Right? Mm-hmm. He has no issue putting his hands on Natalya. He has no issue putting his hands on Becky Lynch if it means that Lacey will get the pin, which then means that Lacey becomes women's champion, and in turn he is Universal Champion. I think that's the route that it was showing a bit more. At least for me, that's how I took it.
Okay.
I was like, okay, Corbin's willing to trip up Natalya. He's willing to trip up Becky. He's going to put his hands on Becky. I fully expect him to put his hands on Becky.
I do too.
At Extreme Rules, and I don't know how. And I expect Becky to put her hands right back on Corbin.
I hope so as well.
Right, because she did it on Raw with Bennett or Kanellis. So yeah, I think that's the vibe that I got from it more, was like, okay, unfortunately Natty was the thing, and yes, I get, but at the same time, you just said too that Lacey Evans and Corbin are not going to be in the title picture anymore after this, which I agree with.
Yeah,
they won't be for a little while, at least a couple challengers, then maybe swing them back in around late fall into winter time.
Yeah, like TLC. Yeah, around TLC time.
But
wouldn't be bad. Yeah.
The aspect of, we don't really need Lacey to feel, because the match is already developed. The match is already made. The match could happen tomorrow. We know they've already built to it. They've got everything.
I agree
with that. It could happen tomorrow. So we don't need any justification of why Lacey, or any belief of, Lacey's credible threat. She could beat Becky, especially because it's not a one-on-one, because it's a mixed match, mixed tag match. I think that aspect of it, if it was a one-on-one, 100%, there's no need for that. because then you're just like, that's taking away her credibility and threat. But now, because it's the interaction of Corbin, because it's a mixed tag match, it makes me think, okay, they're going to work together in some capacity, some dirty, quote unquote, because it's not technically dirty, but it's some might say morally wrong capacity in that intergender mixed tag match that Corbin has no issue if it means that Lacey picks up the pin, but he gets his championship. He's fine with that.
I do see where you're coming from with that story, and I think that's probably the story that WWE was also telling. I think that's probably what they were aiming for. Just in my mind, I do believe that challengers should always be built up to be as credible as possible. It's how you make matches feel bigger, right? That's just my own thoughts on that, but like honestly, it's going to be a fine match at Extreme Rules, and I'm going to watch it. So it's done its job building up at the least. We already quickly talked about the 2 out of 3 falls match between Miz and Elias. This was just a rehash from SmackDown Live a week ago. Good that the Miz finally picked up the win, but I mean, I really don't think this does any favors for Miz. I don't think it does any favors for Elias. I think this match probably could have gone to the wayside without needing to happen.
Yeah.
We talked about the
Taker.
Mike. Yeah, Taker. Okay, so Undertaker, that whole segment, that was it was just classic Taker, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's, you know what I'm finding with Taker's segments as of late? They feel very, because we've gone into this world of wrestling that is much more real and much more shoot feeling and much more like true combat sport feeling.
Yes.
The roles of the Takers and the where I'm sending you, you won't rest in peace, etc., there's this weird like disconnect that I'm getting. I don't know if you're feeling it.
I'm feeling it absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I absolutely feel that. Yeah.
But I'm so used to promos being like, listen, I'm just a guy and you're just a guy and I'm going to beat the shit out of you and I hate you and whatever. And maybe the odd thing, like you still see the Bray Wyatt with the Fiend and everything. And it's so over the top, but essentially that's a person that's insane.
Yeah.
Right? Like Bray Wyatt is his character is literally an insane person. The way that I take it is, oh, that's a crazy person. That's what's happening in his mind. He's got this split personality disorder where he's Bray Wyatt, yowie wowie, and then the Fiend and just
yowie wowie,
insane,
like that,
right?
Yeah.
But Taker is this character that isn't a Aleister Black kind of dark, mysterious, whatever. But he's just a guy. Taker is a fictional character that's sending them to fictional places and digging holes and sending your soul to the underworld, essentially. And it's gotten to a point, I think, now where I'm like, you know, we've had so much exposure to this combat sport, this shoot style, that I'm getting very disconnected from these promos. And I don't want to take anything from Taker because obviously he's Taker. He's one of the greatest of all time. But I feel like there's this disconnect in today's wrestling world because of the way that it's changed. I think if it hadn't changed this way and he just got introduced, great. He's a weird, like, very fun, but that's how they were back in the like 70s, 80s, 90s, right?
Yep.
They were very big and absurd characters, right? Like there was a wrestling chicken at one point, like, and people were just like, okay,
all right,
like,
lock on.
Stupid as hell, or turkey or whatever. It was stupid as hell, but people were like, I guess so. Yeah, that's the thing that we're doing.
And it's just the funny thing also, like, back in the day, like, they didn't have social media, so maybe there were people that hated it. We just didn't know that they hated it.
Oh, for sure. There
right?
definitely was.
Yeah. But yeah, like the whole Undertaker, the whole mystical type of character, it just doesn't work in 2019 anymore. You know, it just doesn't. And I mean, the only thing that's keeping Undertaker kind of alive is his is the fact that he's one of the most respected people in the business, and fans respect the crap out of Undertaker. And anytime he shows up, doesn't matter how bad his match is or how bad his promo is or whatever, fans are still going to go nuts for the dead man because of everything he has done for the business up till now. There's no doubt in my mind he is the greatest single character that has ever been created in the world of wrestling.
For sure.
No doubt in my mind. But
especially from a fictional character standpoint, right? Like,
but like I said, in 2019, it doesn't connect the way it used to. And also, I think part of that has to do with the fact that we know how old Undertaker is.
His matches have not been great.
They haven't been. No, he hasn't given us too much to get excited over other than hearing the gong. And I mean, hearing the gong will never get old.
No.
The lights going out will never get old.
I kind of wouldn't mind... I wouldn't mind an American Badass return.
Oh my god, imagine the grandpa on a motorcycle. All right, peace out, fools.
It would be so funny, man. Like, but even that character would be much more relatable in today's wrestling world than the mythical dead man, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Okay, that's actually a great word, I think. Relatable. I feel like we've gotten to a point in the world of wrestling and the fans of wrestling that every character we want to relate to in some capacity, one way or another, and we find a way to.
Yes.
Nobody can relate to the dead man.
Because he's dead.
Because he's a mythical dead man. Like, or very few might be able to, but it's a very... weird. It's like I'm trying to think of like a movie. It's like saying that you relate to the Night King in Game of Thrones. Like, why? How do you relate to the Night King? He's not a real person. He's a dead thousands year old this zombie guy.
He's the Night King.
How do you relate to that as opposed to being like, I relate to Jon Snow? Like, no shit. Even saying like I relate to like the wildlings, you're like, oh, I can see that because they're people that just have been through this different thing, right? Whereas like
the Night King is he's the fucking Night King. Like, how do you relate to that guy?
You could even say that you relate to Bray Wyatt because again, it's that kind of split personality disorder that some people battle with. That, or even just you could take it the smallest bit where it's just that internal struggle of good and bad that everybody battles with. But there's nothing like that you can relate to with Undertaker, I don't find anymore. It's
not anymore, no.
And even then, like, we want to relate. We want to feel like...
You want to get invested, right? Like, that's the whole point.
I feel like this Taker is just... It's nostalgic, and it's great for us fans that have been around for a long time, and it's fun, and the gong, and the whatever, and the lightning, everything. But it's a...
It's been done so many times, right? Like it's been done so often now. And I mean, like, yes, the return around WrestleMania was always... I think that's where the disconnect has started to fall off for fans, because once a year we used to know we would get the dead man at WrestleMania, right? And it was that time, and the whole excitement was, who's going to be facing Undertaker at Mania? Is his streak going to be beaten? Or that was where the whole mystique of Undertaker came from. And then when he lost to Brock Lesnar, we still had that who was facing Undertaker at WrestleMania. And it's just all of a sudden more from him only coming up once a year and making those rest in peace promos sound really, really good, and the lights going off be like an amazing moment. It's now been done. And just for Mania. And now it's being done for Super Showdown. Now it's being done on Raw. Now it's being done for Extreme Rules. And it's like, this is just desperation to try to get ratings back without actually building up any other superstars. I love the dead man. I love everything he's done for this business, but it's getting a little tiresome. And like I said, I'm still going to mark out when I hear the gong, but his matches just don't get me invested anymore either. Like, I'm not excited to see an Undertaker match.
No. It's, they haven't been great. No. But, I mean, love Taker. Drew, as always, looked badass.
I think, you know what? I think we need Drew. Away. We need Drew versus Undertaker at SummerSlam. That's where this needs to lead to.
That's what I think this might be leading to, and then Shane
You cut out there for a sec. What'd you say there?
I said I think that's what it might be leading to. Drew versus Taker at SummerSlam and Roman versus Shane at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Like in individual matches.
It feels like that's the direction
he's
going in.
Finally end those feuds.
Yep. It's either going to be Roman versus Shane or it's going to be Shane versus Kofi, which, oh, God.
Oh, Shane versus Kofi would be terrible.
It would be very, very bad. Yeah.
What was with that Shelton Benjamin bit?
Yeah, that's a good question. Shelton Benjamin. I'm going to say a joke right here, so all you people open up your laughing side, if you will. But Shelton Benjamin totally just looking around ways to annoy Mia Yim. There you go. Anybody who understands wrestling world, you'll understand that. Bob's like, frig off, Con, man. I don't know what you mean. Nah. I don't know what they were doing with that. I wonder if it's just the start of a new character or if it was just literally done for a meme. Like.
So, the one thing that I was... Because they talked about who do you think will be... What did they say? They asked him, who do you think will be the next challenger for the WWE Championship? Or did they ask him, who do you think will win or walk away champion between Samoa Joe and Kofi Kingston?
That's a good
Was that the question?
Oh. I legit can't remember. Frig, I don't know. Was it on SmackDown? Sorry, was it on SmackDown?
I think it was on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think it was on SmackDown.
I'm just looking through my notes right here real quick.
The only thing I remember in the moment I thought was, I wonder if they're hinting very subtly without really letting a lot of people know, but only the people that might kind of think into it, that Brock Lesnar will be cashing in on Kofi. Because
they're
Shelton has that connection with Brock Lesnar, because Shelton has a connection with Paul Heyman, et cetera, et cetera.
You guys heard it here first. Bob calling it. That's a really good... I didn't pick up on that, man. That's a really good thing to pick up.
But all I thought when he went... Because the way that he kind of looked around and like smiled and kind of chuckled, I went, I feel like they're maybe hinting that Shelton has inside information because he knows he's good friends with Brock and Paul Heyman, and he has been their henchman before that. The whole Shelton and Seth Rollins match.
Oh yeah,
right?
that wasn't too long ago. That's like what?
No, that was
2 months ago, maybe, if that.
No, was that? I thought that it was going into WrestleMania.
Was it Mania? Okay, so maybe it's a little
going into
ago.
Mania, but still like 3-4 months ago. Not crazy long ago.
And let me just say, if WWE paid attention to that, right, and if that's what that whole setup was for, kudos WWE. Those are the little things that we talk about that make your show better.
Smallest thing, but that's all my mind went to. Like, because I mean, you know how my mind works, but that's immediately. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, if that's what they're doing, I'm like, and I literally thought, I was like, good for them. The smallest little thing that they did months ago was a seed that they're now just being like, well, Shelton knows something.
Yeah. Man.
Or it's just something dumb that they're doing that
it could be that too. It very well could be that.
Which I wouldn't be shocked with either.
Yeah. But like when we talk about planting seeds, this is the type of thing that we talk about. If you plant seeds from months ago, you can always let that seed grow in the future, right? I really want to talk about Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, and the whole Bayley Carmella thing. Let's just talk about it all at once, because I really, really, really love this storyline. I think this storyline is one of the best stories, like pure stories going on inside of the entire world of wrestling. I think we are seeing the rise of Nikki Cross. And we're starting to see all these little things come out of Nikki where she's being asked these questions by all these babyface wrestlers. And everybody likes Nikki Cross, right? Like all these babyface wrestlers like Nikki. They respect Nikki. But they're like, you are new here. You're new here. You don't know what Alexa Bliss does. This is what she does. We're trying to warn you. And then Nikki keeps saying, like, that's not the Alexa I know. Like this Alexa has been nothing but nice to me. And then I love the fact that Carmella beat Bliss in a moment's notice, because showing that, well, Bliss can't get it done without Nikki sort of thing. And it was like, that's that seed that goes in if Nikki Cross beats Carmella. That's another layer to the story, and sure enough, that's what happened. Nikki Cross defeated Carmella in a not spectacular match, but a fine match.
Yeah, it was fine.
And I am really liking the development of that. But that set up the first misstep of the story to me on SmackDown Live. I liked Nikki Cross hosting the Moment of Bliss. I thought that was great. I thought Alexa Bliss giving her this moment to shine was great as well. I think the misstep came not getting Alexa Bliss involved to cost Nikki the match. You know, not saying like a heel turn, but like, you know, come out to ringside, and that momentary distraction is what led to Nikki losing, because Alexa is jealous of Nikki right now. That is a thing that's going on. Like, that's her tiny little character motive right now. She is jealous that Nikki Cross beat Bayley. And you just went back on her beating Bayley by having Bayley beat her. It's that 50-50 booking again.
Yeah, and like super clean too.
Yeah, super clean. So I think I like the idea of Nikki Cross losing to Bayley, because you need to have Bayley be put over strong, right? But you needed to get Alexa Bliss involved in the finish there. Some sort of dirty excuse that Nikki would have lost. Like, even just honestly, Alexa Bliss's music playing as she comes out ringside. And she's got 2 coffees, saying, do you want a coffee maybe? Or something silly like that, right?
Yeah.
Enough to distract her so that Bayley would then turn around into the belly-to-belly suplex. Boom, game over. And then that leads to the feud, and that leads to the match at Extreme Rules even more, which I do believe is going to turn into a triple threat. I think it's going to be a 3-way for the title.
I like, you mentioned it a couple weeks ago and brought it up that, like, basically since I haven't stopped thinking about it whenever these segments are going on, I'm just like paying extra attention to Nikki to see if I'm noticing anything that could imply that she's the one playing Alexa.
Yeah. It's,
and I'm just
from,
like, oh,
I think this week here, it seems like they've went away from that. You know, they seeded a few things that might say, like, okay, she's playing Alexa, but it seems like it's been Alexa playing Nikki right now.
Yeah.
Unless they're really, really doing some long-term storytelling there. I don't think they are. I think that my idea kind of went out the window there, and I do believe that this feud has been really good, but it's totally Alexa Bliss manipulating Nikki Cross at this point. Let's talk about the main event, because we haven't got to AJ Styles.
Yeah, I was going to say, AJ Rick.
Yeah, AJ Rick O'Shea.
Richard O'Shea.
Richard O'Shea. Vince McMahon strikes again.
Of Dublin, Ireland.
So, this was one of those matches where I talk about going to commercial break and where this is going to hurt matches in the future, right? The whole AJ Styles pinning Ricochet 1, 2, 3 as Ricochet's foot was under the bottom rope. Ricochet got pinned 2 times in 2 weeks as the brand new United States champion. I don't care if your foot's under the bottom rope. You know what? Yeah, sure. You got pinned, right? And that's what the audience sees. And the only one sec. The only reason why they did that was to cut to commercial break, right? That it was to go to commercial so you didn't have wrestling during the break. And that's one of those matches where you're like, you cannot do that to that match. You cannot just give these quick endings, because it hurts the performers. I think the second half of the match was really, really, really good. The first half, though, with that first fall to AJ Styles and then getting called back, because when does a referee ever change his decision? Doesn't matter if it's hockey, football, whatever. Those referee, unless it's actually overruled by management, you know what I mean? It's the referee's decision is final. We've seen that in so many matches where there's falls, pinfalls, or shoulders being up, you know, like Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio, shoulder was up, right? Why wasn't another referee coming down saying, oh, no, his shoulder was up? So it's these inconsistencies in the story that I don't like. But overall, I thought the match was good. I understood the story. And obviously the heel turn at the end was great. But what did you want to say there?
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say like they could have just had his foot go up on the rope. But I get they wanted to make the whole, and it gives the right, I guess, so to speak, for AJ turning. But yeah, I mean, it is weird though, just letting your champion be pinned twice in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing that happened to Kofi, right? Like, you know, like Rick, not like twice in 2 weeks, but it's the same idea. Your champion getting pinned for no reason just so you can cut to a commercial break. It's not look good, right? You don't want your champions losing on TV, or you don't want to see that third count come down on TV. They could do something like, maybe Gallows and Anderson came down, they caused a disqualification to the match, right, if they wanted to, and AJ Styles, because remember, as we came back from the commercial break, Gallows and Anderson were at ringside, right, and AJ Styles was like, what are you guys doing down here? They could have done something like that to get to the commercial break, where they came down and attacked Ricochet and say, no, dude, guys, I had this. Why are you attacking him right now? I had this. I had this match. Go out there to ringside. I've got this. And then Michael Cole could scream at the top of his lungs, this match will be restarted when we come back from commercial break. And there you go. Like, that's all it would take, something like that.
Yeah.
But again,
I thought that match was good, though. I mean, it left me wanting more.
I agree.
Because, I mean, they're both great, and I don't think that we've seen the level of match that these two can put on together.
Yeah, I agree
to
that.
They've done some good things, obviously. And I think that now the story, AJ being heel, and AJ is just an incredible heel.
Oh, is he ever?
And the Styles Clash from the middle rope was awesome.
Bro, like, unbelievable.
I legitimately was like, did Ricochet die?
His head, when you watched him come down with that slow motion replay, the side of his head crashing into that mat, oh my god. Yeah. Like, it just looks so painful.
Like, I'm pretty sure that Ricochet died. Which just means that the U.S. title's vacated.
Vacant strikes again. But, like, to lead up to this main event throughout the night, I thought the segments were perfect, though. The way that they were teasing, this aggressive AJ style. Like, the club's just manipulating Styles, and I love it. But it also comes from Styles trying to drive a better tag team, to be better. I really like the story, and I can't wait to see what AJ Styles does on Raw, because we now have a top heel on Raw. We didn't before. Like, yes, Corbin's a great heel, but he's not a top heel. You know what I mean?
Drew.
Drew's there, but he's not being. They haven't taken the shackles off Drew yet, right? They're partnering him with everybody in sight. Once they let Drew run wild, which I believe will come with a win over the Dead Man at SummerSlam, that's going to be huge. For McIntyre moving forward. And I mean, honestly, Drew McIntyre should become a champion after that. That should be the end of Seth Rollins' reign, and let's get a heel back on top, in my opinion. So quickly left on SmackDown Live. Anything you want to talk about from there? Because we've covered quite a bit of it.
I was going to say what's going to go on with this KO Dolph Ziggler thing.
Interesting,
I like it. Like, both guys are great on the mic. Both guys are great in the ring. They'll put on great matches. So initially I was like, oh, the tag team, that's pretty cool. Like, let's see what they can do. Maybe, like, they'll be a lot of fun. We get the super kick into the stunner or whatever.
Yeah, the KO show off.
But then, like, the immediate breakup, and, like, are they still gonna be
that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm wondering. I don't know if this was actually a definitive breakup between the two, or if this was just just a continued odd pairing couple, right?
Yeah.
I really like it. I think Kevin Owens slightly turned towards the babyface side, which was really good. And
in the KO show, he did a great job with it.
Once again, you pointed this out to me the one time, him switching between, like, the cue cards, like, Undertaker, the best in the world. Like, he's so good.
Such a good dickhead.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, like, their partnership was interesting when I saw it. Here's the thing. If they don't decide to go towards a tag team partnership and say this is a start of a feud between the two, I would love for this match right here, whatever it ends up being, say it's at Extreme Rules or whatever, to be a number one contendership for the IC championship. The IC title has been kind of taken a backseat, right? Yes, Finn Balor.
Finn injured?
I don't think so. I think they just have nothing planned for him right now. Like, we saw that the Shinsuke Nakamura confronting Finn 2 weeks ago, right? Or was that just last week? I can't remember.
Maybe last week.
Anyways, we saw that, and so obviously that's the next feud there, but I would like to see them build more towards the next feud. WWE doesn't do that enough, right? They don't take a look at their titles and say, okay, somebody's still going to want this title after this feud that we have going on. So let's get some people waiting for the title. Let's get a number one contender. And then maybe that adds another little element to the match, right? If they have a number one contender crowned for the championship before that match has already happened, all of a sudden you wonder, is this guy going to interfere in the match? Is he going to cost the guy a title because he thinks the other one is a easier challenger to beat, or anything like that? You know what I mean? These are story elements you can get, and just from doing number one contendership matches. Let's quickly talk about Heavy Machinery as well, becoming the number one contenders for the tag team titles alongside of the New Day.
Yeah, I was going to say alongside,
Very awesome stuff. I love what Heavy Machinery is bringing to the table. I've said this before. You've heard it. I love Otis Dojovic, but Tucker Knight has, as you pointed out at the pay-per-view, he's really been impressing me lately as well. He's a big man who can move, and geez, their tag team has reached another level. I thought they were going to be too comedic at times, but they've started to master their compactor finisher. They've been really good on the microphone. And I like the aspect of them winning this match because they're an actual tag team, you know? The actual tag team beats the two single superstars pairing together almost every time. Yeah. And I love that. I love that little detail there.
Yeah. It's, nice addition. I think that the triple threat will be good. I don't know if Heavy Machinery is just there to take the fall.
I could see that, yeah. I can see that.
Which is unfortunate for them, but also more exposure, more experience. Get in the ring with those two incredible teams.
Wouldn't be surprised if Xavier takes the fall.
True.
Yeah.
Xavier could as well. He's great at taking falls. He just will take abuse after abuse after abuse and then take the fall, and no problem.
Are you thinking the titles stay on Daniel Bryan and Rowan, though?
I thought it was either going to be New Day or DB and Rowan, but
yeah, I think that they have to keep the titles on Daniel Bryan and Rowan because they haven't even given us the Planet's Champion stuff yet, right?
Yeah.
Like they tease that, they tease new titles the moment they won the titles, and they haven't given us that yet. So I feel like they're waiting maybe till after Extreme Rules to make that the next kind of story, because they kind of lucked into a story with Heavy Machinery in the New Day, with Daniel Bryan saying that the entire tag team division is a joke, right?
Yeah. And he's just so good.
Yeah.
Right now, he's just way too good.
He's too good to keep out of a title picture.
Yeah.
I really liked the way they positioned Ember Moon on the show. I think that she is being a defiant babyface towards Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose.
Yes. I was going to say I like it, but at the same time, I'm a little confused what they're going toward here.
I think they're going towards more of a story between Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose than anything.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. But it's weird because Mandy lost to Ember, but Sonya's beaten Ember.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, where's this leading in the long term? There's no real...
Here's what I think it is. I think we're going to be, because we saw the teases of it, of an LGBTQ storyline between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. The little hair flip that she did at the end of the one match, and then now being super... I'm not sure if you're watching this backstage, but they're just closer than they've been before. The way they stand next to each other, the way that they are touching each other, they're just a lot closer. And I think what it's going to do is it's going to position Sonya Deville as an ultimate babyface, because we all know that she is a lesbian in real life, and she represents the LGBTQ community proudly inside WWE. And I think this is going to create a story where, if done tastefully, which is the big thing, done tastefully, Mandy Rose is going to screw over Sonya Deville by playing with her emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to create an ultimate babyface in Sonya, because Sonya is the whole package. She is everything WWE could want in a women's superstar. It's just a matter of time before she becomes a main event player, right? And I think the way you get there...
we've said it a number of times. I'm excited to see her as a face as well.
Yes, yeah. The way you get there, though, is you got to turn and split the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville story. And Mandy is just more of a natural heel than Sonya is. You got to run with Mandy being the manipulator, the homewrecker kind of sort of thing. That's her character. Yeah. And it's going to be good seeing Sonya as a face if this is where it leads to. But I also like that Ember Moon picked up a win on SmackDown.
Yeah.
It's big.
I mean, good for Ember. She's great. I wouldn't mind seeing Ember compete against Bayley next. And again, maybe Bayley keeping the title and everything, but Ember versus Bayley would be a good match. It would be fun.
It would be. Ember's steam has fallen off quite a bit because she got injured there, but now they're rebuilding her in a very slow, methodical way, but it's good. I like the way they're doing it.
Randy Orton-esque way.
Yes. Speaking of good, I also loved Andrade. I loved his match against Apollo Crews because it was the perfect showcase for Andrade. It did everything it needed to do to position him as this badass heel who is to be feared. And I thought it was perfect. I honestly did. And Apollo Crews got some TV time, which is never bad either, right?
I'm always happy when Apollo gets a little bit of TV time, gets a little bit of exposure, because he is talented. He's athletic. He's great. He's fun. It's good. Yeah. But Andrade is also incredible. Just so, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good.
I thought it was really good. And now, I guess we're going to finish it off here today by talking about the big old middle finger from Kofi Kingston to Samoa Joe, because that was the biggest moment from SmackDown Live. And I thought it's so funny how just something like a middle finger when you're not expecting it on WWE TV, right? How it can honestly elevate Kofi, the champion, so much. Just a middle finger and then into the Trouble in Paradise. I thought this made Kofi take another step onto another level. He felt stone cold like.
I loved after as well the standing directly over Joe holding the title up too. That was a it just the shot was great. I was like,
everything. The camera work in that segment was beautiful. And we kind of got screwed over here in Canada. Sportsnet blacked out the middle finger, but I know on the USA Network they left it up entirely. And you could see the entire middle finger as the camera zoomed back and Joe stepped out of the way and Kofi's literally just flipping him off. It was awesome. And then obviously Joe's reaction to it, where he got so mad because it's right in his face, just so furious. And then Kofi off the ropes, Trouble in Paradise. And like you said, that final standing shot was just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
I'm excited.
This has been a great. Joe is a fantastic competitor for Kofi, because Kofi's this overly beloved babyface that everyone's always behind and so fun and et cetera, et cetera. And Joe just is so savage. That it's just great.
I wonder if this is the plan to, because I don't know. Joe has been so good during this run. You know what I mean? He's been so good against Kofi. And I love what Kofi's doing. Don't get me wrong. But Kofi's being booked strong, so of course we're meant to love what he's doing, right?
Yes.
I think Joe might not capture the title at Extreme Rules, but it feels like SummerSlam. Joe could get a rematch sort of thing. And maybe then will be the time. But I don't know. They might be having another challenge. Like you said, maybe Brock Lesnar's cashing in at SummerSlam.
Imagine Brock cashes in at Extreme Rules and Joe gets the match against Brock.
All of a sudden, you've got a money match. You've got a money match again.
And it's a rematch from a couple years ago.
When Joe,
the most threatening person to Brock Lesnar during that reign.
I want to say Samoa Joe, that one little feud with Brock Lesnar, because it was so short too. It didn't last all that long. That feud right there, it's so memorable. And that's a testament to what Samoa Joe can do on the microphone. He is so good at his character, and as much as I'm loving Kofi Kingston, I almost want to see Joe win that big title, because if he wasn't going to do it against Brock Lesnar way back in the day, now being on SmackDown Live, especially with the switch over to Fox coming very, very soon, Samoa Joe would be that legitimate type of athlete on the brand that would be able to hold that title for a while and make the show feel like a bigger deal than it is. Because Joe's intensity alone will sell so many matches. It doesn't matter if it's in the mid card or in the main event. He will sell matches just from his intensity. But unless you have anything else to cover there, I think we're going to get into our match of the week.
Well, I've got two match of the week. Braun Strowman for WWE. It's Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
Just because it was so unexpected and so exciting, and it was finally what I wanted to see from those two guys.
Yep.
I'm like, just show us these two big, powerful dudes just beating the shit out of each other. Just do it. But outside of it, I gotta go Jon Moxley and Joey Janela.
Oh yeah, I guess let's talk quickly about Fyter Fest because we didn't really get to that, right?
Yeah, we can go very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Everybody's heard my thoughts already. Let's hear your thoughts.
I thought it was not as good as Double or Nothing as an entire show. I thought the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega versus Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid was a great match. A ton of great thing. I thought that Laredo Kid got a great showing in it as well because everybody at that point knew who the other five guys were. I thought that Cody had another fantastic story told match.
Yep.
I thought that Darby Allin got a showcase out of it, and bump. Oh God,
that bump, man. He had a few bumps in there that were like, what the fuck, man? Like,
but that fucking bump, like the one on the apron, it hits, and you're just like, are you nuts? Like, why?
Also the one where like when he went towards the corner, right, and he flew out, and his head almost hit like the barricade, and like you know the steel post of the barricade on the bottom. He was like that close to hitting it. Yeah,
I thought that the Fatal 4-Way match was good, and MJF is
great.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing. I think the Hangman versus Kip Sabian is going to be a very good match. Very interesting. MJF is, again, just incredible. He was so good in that entire match. The promo prior to the entirety through it. Also, Shawn Spears, Cody will be great. And that hit.
Okay. Oh. Let's talk about that real quick because in 2019, with everything we know going on with head issues, right? With concussions, with CTE, you cannot be doing those unprotected steel chair shots to the head. You just can't.
So there was Tony Khan, I guess, came out and said that the spot chair was planned, but there was a botch.
So,
and I think
what happened?
What the botch was the way that it hit his head.
So what happened exactly was that the chair was gimmicked. It was supposed to be like either padded or whatever, which I'm fine with to an extent, but still, you got to remember things can go wrong, right? Like you're smacking somebody on the head. All it takes is a little bit of a miscue, which exactly what happened, and it could cause serious damage. 10 staples in the back of the head of Cody. And it was because...
No concussion, though.
No concussion, though. And it was all because, you know, like the top of the chair where there's usually that little split for the headrest, right?
Yeah.
That wrapped around the back of Cody's head. As it got cranked over, the back hit the back of his head, and it pulled the skin up, and it created the large gash.
From the other side of it, I will say fantastic job on Shawn Spears because he and Cody are relatively close.
Yes, they were tag team champions back in I think OVW.
Yeah, and they are like old friends, and but I was watching it and I literally thought amazing work on him to not even have any sort of immediate reaction to it, and like real reaction, like not break character at all, where he didn't go or anything. He just stayed stone faced, because I know too who Cody is and the name that he is and where he comes from in this industry. If he watched back and saw that Shawn Spears had like a little and broke character moment, he would have been more pissed about that than the fucking than the gash in his head, eh?
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was just and I liked everyone running out and Shawn just getting out of there and taking off. But I'm excited for it. I think that's going to be a great match. Cody back-to-back amazing matches. The time count 30-minute hit this one, especially the aspect that he's like about to beat Darby Allin.
Yeah.
And it's like
I thought that was perfect.
2, ding, ding, ding. I was like, oh, you got screwed, bud.
Yeah.
And then even better, the aspect that the crowd going nuts for overtime.
Yeah.
And then that's when you do the Shawn Spears bit. And I'm like, oh, God, this is so well told, man. Like,
and one little thing to that story as well, my friend, is that when Cody Rhodes was introducing everybody to the AEW roster, you know, through those Road to Whatever series. He called Ty Dillinger, now Sean Spears, a good hand. That was it. He called him a good hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this good hand that he has proved to Cody that he's more than just a good hand. Yeah. Amazing storytelling.
And then obviously the last thing that I'll touch on is the Mox versus Janela match, the unsanctioned or non-sanctioned, unsanctioned, whatever you want to call it. I loved, this is what I was talking about earlier, I loved the way that they portrayed this, that, hey, this is AEW wrestlers, and this is technically in an AEW ring, an AEW ref and everything, but we want no part of what's about to happen. So this is the official end of our show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's the littlest thing that everybody knows that's not true, but it's a nice way to be like, hey, we don't approve of what's about to happen because it's definitely not PG, PG-13, TV 14, again, 18. This is going to be fucking X-rated.
Yeah.
Let alone R-rated. I'm like, what's that? And it was
brutal,
insane. And it was literally, honestly, kudos to both of those guys. The ability to put your bodies through that, the willingness to do that. Joey Janela,
he made himself a star that night.
Yeah. And obviously Mox being Mox, and just the everything, the shot of just everything throughout that, both the barbed wire,
like the panels
boards,
they had, the boards,
and the table spots, and every single little thing, and all of the insane creativity of, oh, I just poured out thumbtacks. I'm not just going to throw him into it.
I'm going to take your shoes
I'm
off.
going to take his shoes off because that's going to hurt even worse. And then the shot of the, I guess, a little bit more intense version of Dirty Deeds.
Yep.
Because
Death Rider is what he's calling. He's calling it Death Rider over in New Japan. I don't know if that's what they're going to call it in. I
like it
in AEW, but it's Death Rider in New Japan.
I like it, but that little bit more intense version, lift and drop.
Yeah.
And then the shot of after the pin, him getting up with 30, 40 thumbtacks in his back.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. And then on top of that, not only does he do that spot where he goes into, he's already torn up, cut up, been barbed wired all the way through the night. So is Janela. Thumbtacks everywhere. Thumbtacks. He's got 30, 40 thumbtacks in his back that the ref and him are picking out because in a minute's time, Kenny Omega's about to run out and beat the living shit out of you. And it's amazing. And I thought that was definitely worth the entire weight of the night. The good and the bad of it. Not that there was really necessarily bad. There was some botch moments and stuff.
There was things I would have done differently, and I would have presented wrestlers in different lights. But I mean, overall, the show was enjoyable.
I thought the show was good. I thought like matches, and even the matches that were great had good moments. And then this is the same thing that happened with Double or Nothing. When you got to those last couple matches, they were great.
Yep, I agree.
They were great. There's a level of talent in the ring with those guys, and it's insane. This match was so crazy and so wild and so insane and disgusting and disturbing that I was like, oh, this is what I love about the insane craziness of like extreme wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And you get to see that little bit creativity and that insanity that Mox didn't get to do in WWE. And
it's what got him to WWE, right?
Yeah. I hope that he and Kenny lead to it's some sort of extreme match. It has to be.
Oh, gotta be
like a one-out. I don't know if it's a last man standing or if it's going to be
some sort of last man standing would make a lot of sense. I just have kind of one little thing to say about the 6-man tag, okay? And I really hope AEW does a better job of explaining the rules of the match moving forward, because in that 6-man tag, there's a lot of times where people were saying they're wrestling under Lucha Libre rules. Okay, cool. I've never watched actual Lucha Libre wrestling. Like, I've never sat and watched AAA wrestling, right? And I've seen maybe, like, a couple highlights from it, but I've never watched a full match. I don't know what those rules are. So let's get explaining, like, if you're going to have different sets of rules in AEW, I'm all for it, like different types of match types or whatever. But if you're going to be, this is a lucha tag match, awesome. What are those rules? Is it that you don't have to tag into the match unless you're going to go for a pinfall? Or is there like a 20-second time limit in the ring, where you can work together? Because there was a lot of things where people were going into the ring just for no reason.
Spots.
Yeah, just for spots. And I was like,
which
okay,
is great.
Which
I'm
is
fine
fun.
with that.
It's fun, but like you got to remember, I'm a big stickler for rules in wrestling. That's one thing that I have always been. And not knowing what the rules were of the match, because I had a lot of people telling me in the live stream that in Lucha Libre, the moment you jump over the top rope, right, you are not the legal man now. Like, your other person who jumps over the top rope is the legal man. So there's no actual tags. It's just jumping in and out, right? That's what some people were saying. I don't know if that's actually true, but these are just the type of rules. It's just like, okay, I'd like to see, like a tail of the tape with maybe the rules of the match at the bottom. Something different for AEW if they're going to have different style of matches. That would be the only thing. I was kind of watching that match and saying, I'm a little bit taken out. I don't know who the legal man is at times because everybody's just jumping in the ring and doing whatever. But it was still fun.
I'm okay with the spot aspect of it, the like interaction, get in the ring and be in there for 30-40 seconds, whatever, for a couple spots and fun stuff like that. The thing that I was thrown by is the when it comes down to the pinfall, I'm like, are either of these guys legal technically, or was Kenny legal but the other guy's not, or what's happening here?
Yeah,
I'm like, who's the legal guys right now? That's the only for the pinfall. Anything else, I'm like, fuck it, go nuts, do whatever you want to do.
We definitely have different thoughts on that then. Yeah.
I'm like, because they do a lot, and in independent wrestling, especially when the Young Bucks are involved, there's a lot of spots, right? So I'm like, oh, those are fun spots, like the super kick party, right? Like, you don't get that if you are too strict on the. No.
I don't want it to be strict. It's just like, because also in WWE, you get those moments where the matches break down, right? But it felt like, because like also in WWE, a lot of the time it is focused on the referee gaining control of the match, right? Like the referee, he's lost control of the tag match already. He can't get this match under or back to where it needs to be. Right from the get-go, that referee had no control over the match, but it wasn't even like touched on at all. Like usually in WWE, the rules in tag team wrestling are that you get one save into the ring, right? And then the second time, if you break it up, it's supposed to be a disqualification. Now, WWE doesn't always listen to that, right? But it's just these little things where it's like, I like to know what the rules are. And you can play loosely with the rules here and there, but as long as like the structure of the match, is intact, that's what I like to see. And I felt that the structure wasn't quite there for a tag team match, especially with 6 men. It just like there wasn't enough tags for my liking, right?
I just find the end like is where it needs to come back around. Like, I'm fine with it in the map. When it comes to the end, you need to come back around to who's the legal guy, determine it so that we know for sure, like, okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Right. But I thought that the match was still a ton of fun and great, and those guys were fantastic wrestlers, and there were some great spots. What was your match of the week?
My match of the week, I'm going to have to say it was AJ Styles versus Ricochet. Even though I had a lot of like things to say about it earlier, I still really enjoyed the match. I thought the heel turn also to come with it, and the way they painted Ricochet as a strong performer was still really, really fun. That was my match of the week. What's your performer of the week?
From WWE?
Yeah, from WWE.
Well, from outside, overall, I think it's Mox. Mox was just, I got to see him shine and do what he likes to do. From WWE, honestly, Drake Maverick.
You're going Drake Maverick? Awesome. Yeah. I'm going Nikki Cross. I loved what Nikki Cross brought to the table this week.
Fair enough.
But guys, that's going to do it for the podcast here today. We got through another one. This is almost an hour and a half long, so you guys got a nice special one there. Bob, where can they follow you on Twitter?
Bob's Wrestling, BOBSRASSLIN, Bob's Wrestling, BSLIN. It's right there on the screen.
There you go, Bob's Wrestling, and you can follow me on Twitter at Conman167. Again, it's right there on the screen for all of you, and it's all available down in the description below as well. I believe the next time Bob will be here is going to be Extreme Rules, right? Or are you not able to make her?
What day is Extreme Rules?
Extreme Rules is a week from Sunday, so the 14th.
I will be in Alberta.
All right, so Bob will not be here. But he will be here on the podcast next week, hopefully, if we can do it. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Con.
And I've been Bob.
And that was the Con and Bob Podcast.